Alright, Officer Rosencrantz here again. Hey suspects, and hey Maddie. Seriously, if you have those handcuffs, we can get together after all of this, unless you're the murderer. That'd be weird. Anyways, we figured this shit out thanks to all of your help. Allow me to run through the whole sadistic plot. You guys all remember getting the video texted to your phones, the horrific video. What did the killer say at the end? For Kieran. That was your first major clue, really. Now you all know Kieran. He's been through so many women, it's hard to keep up with them all. Sometimes when he suddenly stopped calling, they would get angry, get a little weird, or they would pursue him for a time. Some of you thought Kieran finally settled down with Jules. He described her as the perfect woman, and told many of you he was done womanizing because of Jules. Jules, of course, came to the party but excused herself 30 minutes before the murder and hasn't been seen since. The video was filmed and the murder took place in the garage. It was clear Jules sat down of her own volition. The fact she asked whether Kieran would think the video is funny tells us that she was lured to participate under false pretenses. The killer persuaded her that it would be a prank when in fact he or she or they wanted to kill Jules Parker. It turns out though, as many of you may have deduced, that Jules was not so innocent in all of this. She was a professional con woman, but that's not actually why she was killed. The statement for Kieran tells us this was more about her, more than about him actually than her. Although Kieran had liaisons with some of the party guests, Maddie, he spurned one more than the others, and she plotted to kill Jules to get revenge on Kieran. The amazing thing is that no one even knew she was here. Recall that at Ben and Arya's party last year, Kieran announced that he was together with Africa Meadows. But some of you may have learned that Kieran and Africa's relationship came at the expense of the relationship between Kieran and Africa's twin sister, Willow. Willow and Kieran had a short-lived relationship. Willow, who had lusted for Kieran, drugged him at a bar, and the two were married while he was in a stupor. The next day, Kieran thought he had married Africa, who he secretly loved. Kieran discovered this and confronted Willow, but Willow, insane with love, believed Kieran would announce his marriage to her at Ben and Arya's Halloween party last year. Instead, he announced his love for Africa, and all of you cheered. Africa and he got together. Shortly thereafter, the relationship crumbled. And while some assume that because Kieran returning to his playboy ways, the truth was, as some of you learned, that Willow threatened Africa that she would kill Kieran if Africa did not break off the relationship. Africa did it, and knowing Willow is crazy, she never said a word. Kieran moved on and became a playboy again until he met Jules. Jules, whose real name is Carla Harper, is a professional con woman who set her sights on Kieran. She made up the name Jules Parker. Her husband, Calvin Duckworth, aka Brett McKnight, played a love-struck, hopeless, nerdy romantic when in fact he was in on the whole con. Willow didn't know any of this. All she knew was that this bitch Jules Parker, who stole Kieran's heart, had to die. Willow made an elaborate plot. She tied up her sister Africa. She pretended to be Africa for weeks, keeping close friends at a distance so they wouldn't know. She canceled her weekly luncheon with Nicole Wolf, which Nicole never does. Instead, she invited Jules to lunch because Jules, being new to the group, would not know Africa well enough to tell. Willow asked Jules to play a prank on Kieran. Jules agreed because, not surprisingly, Jules, aka Carla, had fallen in love with Kieran for real. Just look at that dude. What a boss. Anyways, Willow Meadows, posing as Africa Meadows, you are under arrest.